You gave them every chance to win. If you look at this in slow motion, you can see Caitlin Clark clearly smiling in confusion, smiling in, did that really just happen? Smiling in, you slide W. And she says, she points at the other team, you gave them every chance to win. Oh, goodness gracious. Caitlin Clark, she's chomping at the bits to start talking to these referees during the game.
The WNBA is once again caught in controversy, and this time Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson aren't holding back. They've grown tired of crooked officiating, blatant double standards, and a league more focused on silencing its biggest stars than actually protecting them. What should have been a night celebrating a gritty Indiana Fever win instead turned into another glaring example of how the WNBA's credibility is crumbling right before our eyes.
This is kind of where everything started at with Sydney Colson. So this is the timeline here. Let me get this pulled up here. This is interesting. I didn't know she said all that today. Okay, this is interesting here. She started off last night by saying at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need for Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as each other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually. And I've considered roping my sister in it to have office purse charges.
The Indiana Fever pulled off a nail-biting 76-75 victory over the Los Angeles Sparks, the kind of finish that should have filled the locker room with excitement. But instead of celebrating, the post-game chatter was dominated by something else entirely: the head-scratching, lopsided officiating that once again stole the spotlight. Players, fans, and even analysts were left stunned by how uneven the calls were. Do you think the WNBA will finally step in and fix this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Who paying you, ref? Who you betting on? And mind you, there was some problems going on with the shot clock throughout the game. But man, there is no way. Right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? It's like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor, fam.
Jump back to the second quarter. Kelsey Mitchell, Indiana's other offensive weapon alongside Caitlin Clark, slashed straight to the rim. She blew past her defender cleanly, only to be grabbed and pulled mid-drive, right there in plain sight. This wasn't a little bump or soft contact. It was an obvious yank, the kind of foul even fans in the cheap seats couldn't miss. Everyone waited for the whistle, but nothing came. The refs stayed silent, acting like it never happened. Mitchell, tough as ever, still powered through and sank the layup, but the damage was already done. The Fever bench erupted in outrage.
There is one referee. We definitely have to check for betting slips for this guy right here. I think his name is like Agun Agazi, because it sure seemed like he did not want to let the Fever take away this win, making the last 1.9 seconds last almost 5 minutes. He was just like letting them call a reset timeout, and then he was like, no, it's a foul. But I think the worst part about that 1.9 seconds was when 0.4 seconds was left on the clock and Kelsey Mitchell was at the free throw line. She was trying to miss on purpose because that takes time off of the clock, because if she would have made it in, they would have been able to inbound and possibly do a tip in. But this guy allowed a reset timeout. When do you allow a reset timeout with 0.4?
That's when Caitlin Clark, sidelined with injury but locked in as always, completely lost her composure. She jumped to her feet, shouting at the officials, arms flying, demanding, blow the whistle, call it. Her fire lit up the Fever bench. Moments later, Lexi Hull exploded too, furious over the blatant no call. And how did the refs respond? By slapping Hull with a technical foul. Think about that. The player who got hacked didn't get a call. The defender who committed the foul faced no consequence, and the teammate who dared to protest was the one punished. If that's not rigged, what is?
That's what everybody saw in that game. Like, it didn't really matter what was going on. We all knew what was happening. We all knew what was happening there. And the game was being given. The game was absolutely being given to the Sparks. They were giving the Sparks every single chance possible to go and win that game. Even though realistically, Did they deserve to win that game? Hell no. Hell no. They did not. And I mean that. They did not deserve to win that.
And it wasn't just the fever boiling over. From her couch at home, still recovering from a torn ACL, Sydney Colson had finally seen enough. She grabbed her phone and dropped what quickly became one of the season's most viral tweets. At some point in this league, Kelsey Mitchell deserves the same whistle as the other stars. The way she gets hacked out there is ridiculous. Honestly, I've thought about asking my sister to take legal action. That's how bad it's gotten.
But Kelsey Mitchell's whistle last night was horrific. And Kelsey drove to the basket a lot. She is the type of person that just like goes through a lot of defenders, and she wasn't getting a call. This really was not her game. She was not hitting it from the three whatsoever, but everyone is entitled to having a bad game here and there, and I think she was kind of due for one because of the tear that she's been on lately. Even Sid Colson took to Twitter to talk about it, saying, at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually.
That wasn't a joke. That was Colson putting into words exactly what Fever fans have been shouting for months. This isn't just sloppy officiating. It feels like systematic targeting. Indiana players are getting mauled on the floor, then punished if they even dare to protest. Colson's tweet, packed with sarcasm, rage, and unfiltered honesty, hit a nerve immediately. It spread like wildfire, racking up shares as fans everywhere echoed the same thought. Finally, someone said it, and of course, Caitlin Clark couldn't resist joining in. Her reply, 6 words, short, sharp, and dripping with sarcasm. Careful, you're going to get fined. That line said everything, because if anyone knows how the league operates, it's Clark. In today's WNBA, you can get shoved, ignored, and wrecked by phantom whistles. But the second you speak up about it, you become the target. And Clark wasn't exaggerating. She was pointing straight at an ugly, undeniable truth.
Be careful, you're going to get fined. Then Sydney Colson said, I can't get no more fine. So Lynn Dunn stated, agree, I will help pay the fine. So that's what Lynn Dunn stated yesterday about the fines. And Caitlin Clark said, love it. Everyone listen to Lynn. So it's definitely a lot of exchange going back and forth there. That's crazy.
Just look at Sophie Cunningham. She's practically the WNBA's poster child for what happens when you dare to call out the refs. She hasn't been fined once, not twice, but 3 separate times for simply telling the truth. Her first offense, lip-syncing to a TikTok track that poked fun at referees as clueless and useless. That little joke cost her $500. Next, she spoke on her own podcast about the league's wild inconsistency. Boom, another $1,500 gone. And the final straw? Cunningham pointed out what everyone could see. Paige Buckers was getting superstar treatment with a whistle every time she was touched, while players like Kelsey Mitchell were getting hacked non-stop with 0 calls. For that honesty, she got hit with another fine.
Like, I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, like, again, I think she's a hell of a player and, like, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. Like, you literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. Like, and if you're gonna do that, then give it to our guards. Like, I just hate the inconsistency.
Like when whistles are player focused, that's like, I mean, I think that's a huge problem. But then again, like I don't know what sport that doesn't exist. But she's a rookie. She shouldn't get whistles as a rookie.
Think about the message this sends. Under Kathy Engelbert's leadership, the WNBA isn't protecting its athletes. It's not about fairness. Instead, it's about silencing its own stars with fines and penalties. It feels less like a league and more like a protection racket. Accept whatever the refs decide or pay the price. That's not just embarrassing. It's corrupt. Sydney Colson made that crystal clear with her response to Clark. Her words hit like a gut punch. I can't get no more fine. Translation, she's already been penalized so many times by this broken system. She's maxed out. When players start half joking about being fined into bankruptcy just for demanding basic fairness, that's no longer funny. That's an indictment of a league that talks about growth while ignoring its biggest problem: corrupt, inconsistent officiating. And let's be real, this isn't about one blown call. It's a pattern. Game after game this season, Indiana Fever players have been shoved, hacked, elbowed, and targeted with excessive physical play, and the outcome is always the same. Silence from the officials, punishment when the Fever push back, and grins from opponents who know they can get away with it. That's the exact opposite of how a league should treat its biggest star. Caitlin Clark is the face of women's basketball, the player packing arenas and breaking TV records, yet she's the one being battered with no protection in sight.
More people are talking about the refs than that. More people are talking about Caitlin Clark's reaction than that. And that just sums up how bad the refereeing is that we have seen an unbelievable game. We have seen an unbelievable game. A game where you're like, okay, maybe, just maybe, the Fever have not even just maybe, the Fever put themselves in a great position. They put themselves in a great position to succeed. But now you're looking and you're like, what do people remember from this game? Caitlin Clark having to be restrained by her.
The real issue here isn't about one missed call or even one game. It's about the numbers. Cold, undeniable data exposing a league-wide pattern of bias that's been ignored for far too long. Let's start with the stat that says it all. Caitlin Clark has absorbed 17% of every flagrant foul in the entire WNBA this season. Think about that. One rookie, one player, nearly a fifth of the most violent fouls in the league, all aimed at her. That's not just physical basketball. That's not the usual rookie growing pains. That's targeted harassment disguised as competition. And while it's happening in plain sight, referees and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert act like it's business as usual. And Clark isn't the only one. Kelsey Mitchell has practically become the face of ignored whistles. Just like Sydney Colson said in her viral tweet, Mitchell gets hacked, shoved, grabbed, and undercut almost every night with little to no protection. Take the Sparks game as proof. She attacked the rim over and over, but somehow finished with just 2 free throw attempts. 2. Meanwhile, other protected stars in this league are rewarded with trips to the line just for flinching on a closeout. That's not officiating. That's selective enforcement, and it's tearing away at the credibility of the game.
Please tell me y'all saw Caitlin Clark, the GOAT. Y'all saw Caitlin Clark crash out on the bald head ref last night. Please tell me y'all saw this. And she had Caitlin Clark spazzed on the referee last night. And I'm not mad about it. I see a lot of the haters talking about, oh, she be doing too much with the man. Mind your business. You are not in a GOAT's place, so stay out of a GOAT's business, okay? It's that simple. The officiating was awful last night. I don't know what was going on in that Los Angeles Sparks Indiana Fever game.
And the league's answer? Not reform, not accountability. No, their solution is to punish anyone bold enough to speak out. Protect the referee's pride. Silence the player's honesty. Sophie Cunningham summed it up perfectly. If I were a ref, I'd make mistakes too. But when it's an obvious call, right in front of your face, over and over, what are you even doing? That's not slander. That's not disrespect. That's a fair, reasonable critique. So how did the WNBA respond? By taking money out of her pocket as if she'd stolen from the team. You don't need to be a conspiracy theorist to connect the dots. This isn't about one game or one bad whistle. It's systemic. The Indiana Fever, and especially Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, are being officiated under a completely different set of rules. Coach Stephanie White has been sounding the alarm all year, calling the officiating egregious and begging the league for fairness. And what was her reward? The same thing Cunningham got, a fine. Because in today's WNBA, apparently the biggest crime you can commit isn't hacking a player on the court. It's telling the truth about the refs.
It was this dude right here. And from what I've seen, the man has been a part of controversial calls all year. He's been a part of it all year, man. Oh my goodness. What was his name? Jack, what you say? Wnba. Wnba, man. This man is diabolical work to the WNBA. He's betting. Somebody get the shame bell. Ding, ding, shut.
The favoritism has gotten so blatant, it's downright insulting. Just watch a Fever game closely. What's a foul for their opponent somehow turns into a no call for Indiana. Opposing players set bone-crushing screens that nearly launch Fever players into the stands. Play on, nothing to see here. But the moment Indiana sets a screen with even a hint of firmness, the whistle blows instantly. Caitlin Clark so much as lifts her eyebrows after a missed call, and suddenly she's arguing with the refs. Technical foul. Yet when other players throw throw elbows, shove her to the floor, or take cheap shots at her legs, it all gets brushed off as incidental contact. Fans see it, broadcasters see it, social media lights up about it. Everyone sees it, except the 3 people in stripes on the floor. And here's the ugliest part. The league uses fines to muzzle anyone who dares speak up. Put it in perspective, Sophie Cunningham makes about $90,000 a year. Decent money by WNBA standards. But hit her with $500 here, $1,500 there, and those little fines start stacking up fast. This season alone, she's already lost more than $2,000 for the crime of calling out referee incompetence. The league thought that kind of punishment would shut players up. Instead, it's blown up in their face.
Hey, Wnba, how much money you got on that game? You took the Sparks to win, huh? Didn't you? You took the Sparks to win, huh? Didn't you? It's okay. It's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe next time you'll get the benefit of the doubt. The referees are bad, Bo. The referees are absolutely horrendous in this game. There's no other way to call it for what it is. The referees are abysmal. And you can't help but wonder, is there foul play going on here? Is there foul play going on?
Every fine the league dishes out isn't silencing the conversation, it's amplifying it. Fans are rallying behind players like Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham more than ever. Fever supporters are even offering to crowdfund the fines so their stars can keep speaking truth to power. Even former Fever executive Lynn Dunn has openly sided with the players, taking direct shots at the league office in the process. What was meant to scare players into silence has become a megaphone. It's the Streisand effect on full display. Try to bury the corruption, and you only make it 10 times louder. And the timing couldn't be worse for the WNBA. This was supposed to be their golden era. Caitlin Clark has dragged the league into the mainstream, smashing attendance records, driving TV ratings through the roof, and landing nightly spots on sports shows. She's the goose laying the golden eggs. And how does the league repay her? Not by protecting her, not by ensuring fairness. Instead, they let her get knocked around like a tackling dummy and punish anyone who dares to call it out. That's not just mismanagement. It's like hitting the jackpot and spending the winnings on spoiled milk.
Sid Colson is someone that everyone used to call the face of the league because she gets along with everybody. So when she's taking to Twitter to complain about something, it must be bad. Because usually she's just really funny, kind of cracking jokes here and there. And although this was pretty funny, there was a tone of seriousness, like calling out the referees, because the way that the Indiana Fever has been officiated, I think she finally understands from being on the team. And I'm telling you, this team sticks together. Her whistle was so bad last night that Lexi Hull even got a tech for it.
That's what makes Sydney Colson's voice so striking. She isn't even on the court right now, sidelined with a torn ACL, yet she still couldn't sit quietly while watching the injustice unfold. From her living room, she called out the corruption. That's not clout chasing, that's solidarity, that's leadership. And then came Caitlin Clark's quick, sarcastic reply. Careful, you're going to get fined. A single line that shows how deeply this intimidation has been normalized. Players aren't debating if the refs are competent anymore. They're weighing how much cash they'll lose if they dare to speak up. Here's the crazy part. Fixing this isn't complicated. The league could easily roll out standardized referee training, bring in independent evaluators, and set up real accountability. They could even follow the simplest rule in sports. If it's a foul on one end, it's a foul on the other. But instead, Kathy Engelbert and her office have taken the laziest, weakest route. Financial bullying. Keep refs untouchable. Keep players fearful. Pretend nothing's broken.
It's got every single call imaginable, and it was just noticeable, to the point you got Caitlin Clark running on the floor ready to crash out on a ref in the middle of the game, to the point where it's obvious. It's like the fix was in. The fix was completely in. So the WNBA needs to do something about this. Kathy Engelbert, you need to get a hold of what's going on here. The officiating Kelsey Mitchell getting knocked around like a damn pin.
And while the league keeps pretending nothing's wrong, the product on the floor is paying the price. The integrity of the game is collapsing. Fans are left asking themselves, am I watching basketball or a scripted sideshow? Blatant fouls get ignored. Imaginary ones flip the momentum of entire quarters. Technicals are handed out like free samples just for showing emotion. And the very stars players who should be carrying the league, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, are forced to compete under a magnifying glass. Every possession judged by what feels like a biased jury. The pattern couldn't be clearer. Some players and teams are protected. Others, especially the Fever, get buried by whistles night after night. This isn't about enforcing the rule book, it's about pushing narratives. But thanks to Sydney Colson and Caitlin Clark refusing to bite their tongues, that system is finally being dragged into the spotlight. And how has the league responded? By issuing fines, threatening players, and going silent when asked for accountability. That's not leadership, that's desperation. It shows the WNBA cares more about optics than fairness. And that's the real warning sign, because when athletes at the highest level are willing to sacrifice their own paychecks just to call out corruption, it tells you how deep the rot really goes. Now the mask is off. Clark and Colson have exposed what Fever fans have been shouting all season. This doesn't feel like basketball anymore. It feels staged. And unless Kathy Engelbert and her referees face real reform, every single Fever game will come with an asterisk. So the question is simple. Will the WNBA finally listen to its players and fans? Or will they keep punishing truth tellers while letting corruption fester? Judging by their history, don't hold your breath. Do you think the league will actually fix this? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss what's next. Click the video on your screen, and we'll see you there.